All right, guys, I had to hop on here real quick because I don't know if you guys been noticing, but now there is some reports about the guards at the prison. Now, it seems like everybody is focusing on them doing a cover up of a potential murder. So now they're actually starting to throw in the possibility that Mr. E was actually murdered and not taking the short route home. After further review and looking at the evidence, actually don't believe that he is deceased at all. Considering the fact that he actually doesn't have a prostate, and it was reported that he does. And then we did do a review of his heart, and in the files that we can see so far, there's no indication to suggest that he would have the type of heart condition that they are claiming he had. In addition to that, we now have um some suspicious evidence that suggests that maybe he was meeting with a cardiologist right before he was diagnosed with a history of hypertension that actually was then later resolved to say that it was actually a diagnosis that shouldn't have been given at all. So there's no history of hypertension. There's no valve issues with his heart. There's no reason why he would have that condition. And the condition is not previously documented elsewhere. Um, so I don't think that's his heart. I don't think that's his body, because of the prostate issue and because of the heart thing that I found. With that being said, if he's alive, it would make sense that the guard, I mean, there would have to be people in order for him to escape. There would have to be several people involved, and they would have to be people who have access to key cards. It would have to be people who have access to vehicles. It would have to be people who have access to the cameras. As we know, all the cameras were out. As we know, the guards weren't making their rounds. And my theory was that they were saying they were scapegoats, right? But scapegoats for what? Again, that's the question. Like, do you think you're a scapegoat for the fact that he was left alone and they're trying to blame you? Do you think, or what is it? And I think that they know that he's actually alive, and now the narrative is that he's deceased, and they're pinning the deceasement, whether it be that he was murdered or that he took the short route home. They are now the scapegoats for that. And they know, it's my belief that they know that he's actually alive, and they're going to be tried for, or they were anyway. They went to court and everything. So they were being looked at as, you know, potentially being the reason or at fault for him taking the short route home under their watch. And are they willful scapegoats? Are they saying like, "Oh, I'm fine being the scapegoat"? I mean, I'm assuming that they never got charged. They're not in prison. I believe that they're free right now. So I think that that was kind of the intention all along, was that they would go along with this narrative um if it means that they get paid, they get money. We know that they are, I mentioned before previously that Tova was depositing several, high amounts of money into her account, which I thought was odd. I've noted that in my previous episodes. So, yeah, I want to take a look at Asmund. Let's take a look here. Is that how you say it? Let me pull this up here. Yeah, Asmund Gold Clips. Thank you. Shout out to Asmund. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this here.
Epstein Googled just minutes before. Wait, what the? A prison guard for Jeffrey Epstein Googled him just minutes before he was found deceased and made a mysterious $5,000 cash deposit 10 days before Epstein's death. Tova Noel was previously accused of falsifying records. Her charges were later dropped. Noel made multiple suspicious Google searches less than an hour before Epstein was found deceased. Latest on Epstein in jail at 5:42 a.m., then again at 5:52 a.m., less than 40 minutes before her colleague found the disgraced financier in his cell by 6:30. The outlet also reports the Chase Bank had flagged cash deposits to the FBI in November 2019. So this is an old video from 6 years ago. Epstein jail guards charged with falsifying records.
Prison guards are under arrest, charged in connection with the death of accused sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein. Federal prosecutors say Michael Thomas and Tova Noel failed to make mandated cell checks and then falsified records on the night Epstein reportedly killed himself. Surveillance video shows no one entered entered the special housing unit that night, and no one checked on Epstein over the course of 8 hours.
Yeah, because he was on suicide watch, right?
Just 15 feet away from the guard's desk.
So they didn't check on him at all for 8 hours, even though they were 15
feet away.
15 feet away. So like literally like on the other side of the room. She Googled the guy, but she didn't even look in to see whether he was okay or not. Inmate says guards discussed cover up. What? So apparently this just happened now. Like it literally just came out. It was 6 hours.
And I'm muted. Sorry guys, I was muted. So that's another thing too, is that there are statements from these guards that are saying they overheard her saying things. I found something, and I'm gonna have to try and find it again, because looking through these files, it's you lose them, you save them, you think you have it, and then there's so many that you just lose track. But yeah, there was one where there was a guard saying that he's pretty sure he overheard her saying like that he knows that she knew he was deceased long before they found him. That's what the guard was saying. Or not the guard, the prisoner was saying. And a lot of these prisoners, they have redacted for some reason. It's maybe it's because they know something. I don't know. But anyway, it's worth noting.
Hours ago.
A newly surfaced document published in the DOJ's Epstein database reveals that an inmate once told the FBI that he overheard prison guards talking about covering up Epstein's death on the morning the sex offender died. The document includes 5 handwritten pages of notes from the unidentified inmate's FBI interview. The whole wing, as I understand it, overheard this exchange among guards.
Well, this particular inmate said he woke up to the yelling and the screaming. He told the FBI that he heard them say something to the effect of, dudes, you killed this dude, you killed him. And then
again, so I just want to say this. I genuinely believe that they were being dramatic about it, because that was the intention all along. The intention was to have people questioning, is this a, they wanted to create a spectacle. They wanted people to believe that he is deceased. So, of course, they're trying to put on a reaction that other people, including the prisoners, can see of like, oh my gosh, this person is deceased. Because that is actually what they really need you to believe. Okay? They're not trying to get you to believe that they're innocent. They're not trying to get you to believe that they didn't have anything to do with it, or that they, none of that. All they really care about, even if that means they have to go to jail over it, even if that means that they have to be the scapegoat over it, they just need you to think that he's deceased. That's it. They need you to believe that he's deceased. And so I'm just going to go ahead and close this out here, because let me pull this up. Because I just wanted to show you guys that people are talking about it, and that is really just kind of my point. And I think that people are bringing this up again, because as you noticed, since the files have been out, and they've been out for a while now, I've been covering the guards it's been a couple weeks now since I put out a couple of videos on the guards. And now we're just now talking about it because there's an inmate who said this is not news. That's been in the files. This information has been available. As a matter of fact, they still haven't talked about the fact that she has been going in and out of the US like multiple times. The fact that her name was actually changed several times. Instead of being Tova, it was Toya. Okay? She worked in the military like almost immediately. She lied about the day. She lied to investigators about when she actually came to the United States. The first documented incident of her coming here was in 1995, which she would have been like around 6 or 7 years old, I believe. That's not being discussed. So the fact that like she might actually have been working alongside Mr. E is not even being considered. And I think that's the point. That's why this is coming out now. That's why they're making such a spectacle of this. And that's why it's on every single headline and every single YouTuber is talking about it, is because they want you to be focused on them being the scapegoats again. That's what they want. They want you to think that the guards had something to do with his death. Because they've been wanting you to think that. That's what happened originally. Remember? None of this is news. When we first found Mr. E, that was the question, was did the guards have something to do with this? And yes, she did have $5,000. She did put $5,000 in her bank, and these things are suspicious. But they had that information this whole time. The FBI had this information the whole time. Why didn't they do anything about it then? If they really thought, I mean, that's enough evidence to suggest that she probably has something to do with it. But they didn't do anything about it. And it's because there is so many FBI agents whose names are redacted in these files. There are guards whose names are redacted in these files. There are prisoners whose names are redacted in these files. There are people who are involved in the autopsy whose names are redacted in the files. So why do we have the people who are working at the prison, prisoners at the prison, the doctors involved at the prison, the doctors involved during the autopsy, and the FBI agents investigating the case being redacted? As far as I'm aware, they're not victims of Mr. E. No, they're redacted because they don't want you to know who they are in the event that this ever gets figured out. And I'm telling you right now, this is another distraction. And they're bringing it up because people are starting to realize the discrepancies. Okay, Jimmy Dore just went out and said, hey, he's alive. He's alive. He doesn't have a prostate. Why are you saying he has a prostate when he doesn't have a prostate? And I think that they're like, oh, crap, we missed that. Whoops. Whoops. So now they're like, well, we better start trying to blame the guards again. We better put some we better let them know about the weird $5,000 transfer to the account. We got to throw Miss Tova Noel under the bus again. We got to have people thinking that he was, because everybody knows, they know that we know he didn't take the short route home. That is no question. I don't think there's a single person walking on the earth that actually believes that. Okay? But what people are now questioning is, not only did he not do that, but is he actually alive? People are questioning that now. So now they're scrambling. Now they're like, oh, we need to change this narrative fast. So now they want people talking about the guards again and whether or not they were involved in a cover up of not helping him escape, which is what I believe, but a cover up of him being killed. That's what they're trying to get people to focus on. So I'm here to tell you that none of that makes sense. Pay attention to the autopsy. Don't let them distract you from that. Don't forget that they said he had a prostate when he doesn't have a prostate. Don't forget that. Don't forget that they're saying he had a heart condition, a pretty serious one, when there's no evidence to suggest that he ever had that heart condition. Don't forget that Tova Noel actually was, she came here as a child and then went back and forth from here to Antigua. Don't forget that Antigua is about an hour's private plane away from Mr. E's island. Don't forget that he had plenty of dealings in Antigua. There's plenty of emails back and forth between him and others doing who knows what in Antigua. I can only imagine, right? Don't forget that there is a documented case of her taking a small charter plane from Antigua. Well, we can't prove it's from Antigua, but she entered into the United States at the U.S. Virgin Islands from somewhere. And it would only make sense considering she came in on a very small, only 9-person plane, that it would have been those are only meant for short distances. Okay, that's not a long distance trip. So considering she's from Antigua and goes back and forth between here and Antigua, it would make sense that she went from Antigua to back into the US. And mind you, this was all on the same day. This was all within a few hours. So she left the US and a few hours later she's returning into the US. About, I think it was like 6 or 9 hours later, she's returning back into the US to the US Virgin Islands on a small plane. So she leaves on a big plane and then enters back in on a small short distance plane into the US Virgin Islands, where Mr. E is known to be living or staying or having fun or whatever. So don't forget that. Okay? And yeah, she had $5,000 transferred into her account, but it's fine. I mean, I would never do this for any amount of money, but like, I'm sorry. For me to look the other way and possibly risk my career and my life and everything to cover up somebody's death, it's going to take a lot more than $5,000 for me. Personally, I can only speak for myself, but personally, it's going to take a lot more than $5,000. I do believe that she was given that money. I don't believe that's what it was for. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. I just want to hop on here and put this out there in hopes that people see this and see it for what it is. And again, this is just my opinion. Okay. I can't prove any of this other than obviously the documented facts that I did just lay out for you. Okay. You can take that information and come up with your own conclusion. But I'm just going to go out on a whim and say, like, I don't believe that he is deceased. I still think that he's alive. You can't say that somebody who doesn't have a prostate has a prostate. Period. Like it just doesn't happen. And all the redactions and everything that just had to happen in perfect order. The cameras weren't, keep in mind, guys, the cameras weren't working at the prison. They were also not working at the medical examiner's office where they were performing the autopsy. So there's no timestamps. There's no timestamps to suggest what time Jeffrey actually, or Mr. E actually got to the medical examiner's office for his autopsy. And there is a huge time gap in between the time he was pronounced deceased at the hospital and the time that he actually got to the medical examiner's office. It's about 7 hours. 7-hour time difference. The medical examiner's office is about 10 to 15 minutes away from the hospital. So, and then by the time he gets there, they have him checked in at 3:02 p.m., even though he was pronounced deceased at like 7:30 in the morning. But there's no timestamps on any of the video cameras there at the medical examiner office. So you have the cameras not working at the prison. I mean, everything was just like it was almost like I said, it's like it was a job that was being carried out by multiple people. You can't have that many people mess up and it not be intentional. You mean to tell me every single person that day had a bad day? The guards messed up, the cameras messed up, the agents messed up, the warden messed up, the doctors messed up, the transport messed up, the medical examiners messed up, the cameras at the medical examiners messed up. I mean, you mean to tell me that every single possible thing that could go wrong, everybody was having just the worst day of their life and didn't know how to do their job that day? No. No. It doesn't happen. Not that perfect. No. So, don't let them distract you with this. I'm not saying that the YouTubers that are covering this are in on anything and like purposely trying to dissuade people or distract people or anything at all. They are covering what they feel they should cover. And I'm covering what I feel I want to cover. This is my take on it. This is my opinion. This is my channel. This is my podcast. This is my opinion. You can take it, you can leave it. It's here for you. Free of charge. Okay? You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.